unfortunately, last February, my brother-in-law lost his battle with cancer. And after he died, I was talking to my niece, and she told me this story about when she was a little girl. And her dad took her to the horse auction back in Nebraska. And she said the whole time they were going there, he was telling her, "Don't get your hopes up, Riley. We are not buying you a horse today. We're only here to look." So she got it in her head that it just wasn't happening. Then they got to the horse barn, and as they were walking through the stalls, she came across this one Palomino gelding horse, and she just fell in love with it. She said she sat there the whole afternoon just petting it and talking to it. And then her dad came and got her, and he said, "Okay, it's time to go to the auction." So she said she was watching the animals get brought into the arena, and she said she didn't really understand what the auctioneer was saying, but she knew something dramatic was happening. And she said, and then all of a sudden, that horse that she loved came in. And she said she just couldn't take her eyes off of it. And she was so enraptured by this horse that she didn't realize that the entire time her dad was standing behind her and he was bidding on that horse. She said she didn't realize that he was doing that until she heard the auctioneer say, "Sold to the man in the black felt hat." She said she turned around and her dad had this big old smile on his face, and he said, "Okay, Riley, he's yours." She said she was so happy she just burst into tears. And she said that was the first time in her entire life that she'd ever cried from joy. So she asked if I could turn that story into a song, and this is what I came up with. I was feeding the horses before the sky went black. Yeah, the smell of manure always brings me back. It got me to thinking about when I was a kid, and how nobody ever knew me like my daddy did. We didn't expect much growing up on the farm. When I was 9, my daddy took me to the auction barn. He said, "Don't get your hopes up, we're only here to look." Yeah, he could always read me like a paperback book. He'd say, "Get back on that saddle, girl, ride free and wild. Think of the day nobody ever saw a happier child." As we walked past the horses, passing stall after stall, you know I couldn't help but fall in love with them all. Then, as if it were written, or it was meant to be, I came to Palomino gelding lot 103. His nose was so soft, and in his eyes a song. And just like my father, he was gentle and strong. I might have spent the whole day there, how long I don't really know. And then my daddy took my hand and said, "It's time to go." He'd say, "Get back on that saddle, girl, ride free and wild. And think of the day nobody ever saw a happier child." Oh, now daddy's up in heaven, race on earth is done. He's riding up in glory with the Father and the Son. And though my heart is broken and I don't know what to say, when I think of my Father, I'll always go back to that day. We went back to the sale barn, we sat up in the stands. The auctioneer spoke a language I did not understand, but I could feel the tension. I've always understood that. And then I heard sold to the man in the black felt hat. He'd say, get back on that saddle, girl, ride free and wild. And think of the day nobody ever saw a happier child. Oh, think of the day nobody ever saw a happier child. Finished feeding the horses, put on my father's hat. Yeah, the smell of manure always brings me back.